So I would like to ask you, how many of you have seen these videos online about the Sanskari Bahu, the Sushil Indian bride, and we shared those videos, taking a sort of a mimical outlook towards how the Indian bride has been portrayed in all of our lives and all of our coming, in terms of new age, which is being seeing this wife, but they're not really putting her where they ideally should be. So what we're doing here is, we are introducing you to Asmita Ghosh, who works at Feminism in India, an online feminist platform. She had a tryst with fame in college, in the last year of college, and she made a video called Be a Pondati. It was actually making fun of all that people have put ahead in India and how they've seen the Indian wife. So we have her today showing us and introducing us to the subcultures of feminism that exist online in India today.
And I work at Feminism in India, as he mentioned, which is an online feminist platform where women write about what they can, not just women, other marginalized genders and communities, write about what they want to. But so today, like he mentioned, I made this video which went kind of viral, but I want to situate that in this larger context of how feminists or there are feminist subcultures on the internet which sort of fight back or take back the tech, reclaim the internet from all the sexist spaces that exist online right now. So my first question is, how many of you identify as a feminist? Can I have a show of hands? Like up. Yeah? Okay. I understand why some people may not, because I think the word feminism or the concept feminism has been misconstrued and gotten a lot of negative press. But feminism at its heart and what it actually means is just the equality of genders and acknowledging the fact that right now it isn't, we aren't equal, and there is a mismatch that exists. So, how many of you believe in the idea that all genders should be treated equally? Can I have a show of hands? So congratulations, you're all feminists. So, but like I said, the word feminism has received a lot of negative press, but how many of you use your social media or WhatsApp or any form of online communication to talk about equality or any of these social justice views that you believe in? Do you use your social media channels to talk about that? Anyone? Okay, that's good to hear. But that's that was like maybe 4 people in this audience. But can I go to the next slide? Just to contrast with that, when was the last time you heard a sexist joke? When is the last time you heard about the nagging wife? Or the fact that women are stupid or like bad at maths or can't drive? I mean, just open your family WhatsApp groups and I'm pretty sure you'll find like 20 of those jokes right now this morning. So when's the last time, or in the last week, have you come across something that places women at, it denigrates women? When's the last time you heard a sexist joke? Yesterday? Yeah. Are you all part of family WhatsApp groups where you get a lot of forwards? And how many of these forwards are about nagging wives or the dumb bahu or yeah? Okay, so next. So these are just these random sexist memes that I picked up from the internet when I was preparing for this talk, and I thought it was really funny to put these two side by side. Okay, so the first one says, "Control a woman." Okay, and this is a remote control, and it says the buttons say sleep, sex, food, moaning, winning, forget, remove clothes, clean, cook, leave, say yes, move on, say no, etc. Okay, so this is a remote control, how you want your ideal woman to be, right, at your fingertips. And the next one says, ironically, it's pretty funny juxtaposed with this, if you want to change the world, do it while you're single. Once you're married, you can't even change the TV channel. So what do they want? Do they want a woman that they can control, or do they believe that they are being controlled by their wives and they can't even change or they don't even have control of the remote, right? But, so these, I mean, how often do you see posts like this? Okay, next slide. This is another, these are other ones. If your class is full of pretty girls, you're probably studying a useless course. I studied English literature, okay, I did humanities, so I got this a lot in college. I studied in a technical institute, so everyone, all the engineers thought we were just, there to beautify the campus, and our degree really meant nothing. So any disciplines that are considered traditionally feminine or more women take those courses have less value. Humanities, koi bhi kar sakta hai, right? The next one is a Hindi one. Tu kitna bhi kar le, ignore, no, sorry. I will love you more and more. This is all our Bollywood stereotypes rolled into one. If you say no, I don't care. I'm gonna keep pursuing you. I'm gonna keep, chadhawing you, and eventually you will fall for me, which is not true. Nobody falls for chadhawing, but yeah, right? So these are sexist jokes. So this is what the internet is. This is like 90% of the internet. Okay, when you're scrolling through your WhatsApp forwards or your Facebook feed, this is the kind of crap, excuse my language, that you're exposed to. So next slide. This is a comment that my organization, Feminism India, we recently published this. So this is a man and a woman who are typing the exact same thing, that women face a lot of abuse online, which is true. Women face a lot of abuse online, right? When a guy says this, he is praised for being progressive, he has his credentials in check, he's saying he's called woke, he's called a male, like a great male ally, and we need more men like you. And we do need more men like him talking about sexism and calling out sexism. But what happens when a woman talks about the same thing? Get off the internet. Why are you talking? Why are you complaining? If you face abuse online, then don't be online. Get off. And then you're called a feminazi and you're abused. And not all men are like this. Okay, I'm not like this, and therefore this problem doesn't exist. These are the kinds of. This actually happened to me. Not the same thing, but I once posted on Twitter about. So I did my master's thesis on the Ramayana. And not getting into that, but I posted something that was critical of Ram and about the way that Ram treated Sita. And oh my god, I got like flooded with abuse from right-wing Twitter accounts, like for 4 hours non-stop. My Twitter notifications were flooded. Who does this? Oh, these Bengalis are all communists. Or who does this girl think she is? Have you even read the Ramayana? Do you know anything about the Ramayana? I kind of did my master's thesis on it, but that doesn't matter. And another guy, one of my followers on Twitter, he said that he had posted the exact same thing, like the same day. I think it was a response to something else that was going on Twitter. So he had also posted something about this. But he didn't receive any hate. So when a woman posts something online, it's very provocative. Like, who is she to talk about something? Who is she to have an opinion? So this is something that we've seen. I've seen personally that happens on the internet. Next slide. So what I want to talk about is like completely encapsulated by this one incident that happened earlier this year. Rishi Kapoor, right? Who doesn't know him? One of the most powerful men in India in terms of his wealth, his family name, his legacy, his caste, upper caste, his gender, he's male privilege, caste privilege. He has so much power, he has so much of a voice. Okay, so I'll come back to this slide, but can you just go ahead? So he had posted a bunch of things about merit. So people like Rishi Kapoor, who have a lot of privilege, just by virtue of being wealthy, upper caste, and a man, he has privilege, and his family. So he spoke about how privilege is nothing, and everything that his family has achieved, or everything that the Gandhi family has achieved, has been due to merit. Okay, and this merit is a very loaded word, because are we saying that those who don't people who don't have this kind of social capital, who aren't men, who aren't upper caste, do they not have merit? No, they just don't have the opportunities to succeed in the same ways that these men do, right? So he posted about the merit of his khandan and how they all made it where they did, like Ranbir Kapoor made it where he did because of his merit and not because, you know, his family had enough money to pump in money to his films even though he had like, you know, 20 flops or whatever, right? So there's next slide. There is this Twitter account by this woman called Shivani Chandan. It's her, she uses a pseudonym. She's a 16, I think she's in her teens, 16-year-old, I think, Dalit girl from Punjab. And she uses a pseudonym because she's afraid of violence, because she uses her Twitter account very powerfully to call out these men, to call out privilege, to call out things like this where people are caste blind, gender blind, blind to the privileges that they have. So she tweeted this, right, in response to Rishi Kapoor. I haven't forgotten his son's film. Also after flop Savaria, he got chance on merit to flop again on Rocket Singh. So F your merit. Also still recovering from Kareena's over-acting in Prem Ki Deewani, whom to compensate for meritocracy, Junior Bachchan, F your merit. So she did a whole thread calling out this merit, okay? And what did Rishi Kapoor do? A 65-year-old man who is infinitely more privileged and has infinitely more social capital than she does. Can you go back to the slide back? He sent her a DM, direct message on Twitter saying, fuck you bitch. He's 65, she's 16, okay? He says, fuck you bitch, and then he blocks her so that she can't respond to him. So how does a man like Rishi Kapoor think that it's okay with all of his age and wealth and class background to say something like this to this 16-year-old girl who's merely critiquing him on Twitter, right? And this sort of encapsulates everything that women have to face online, because if you put out an opinion, you're silenced. You're said, get out of here. You're abused, and you're told that your opinion has no, like, does not stand, like, does not hold any water. So get out, like, go away. You don't deserve to be here. My voice is the only one that deserves to be heard, right? Okay, so now we can go ahead. So the internet is a public space, just like the markets or the bus station is a public space, so is the internet. And whatever are the tensions or like the forces that we experience in public spaces, like we experience sexism, we experience patriarchy in public spaces, we are uncomfortable, we are at risk of being harassed, we are at risk of being raped. All of those exist, right? As a woman in a public space, there is a lot of stress and fear and that goes into being in a public space. The internet has it. You are not magically isolated from the social structure just because you're on the internet. Just because you're on cyberspace doesn't mean all of those forces, all of those power structures don't exist. So the internet is a public space. And next slide. Oh no, can you go back? Sorry. So when the internet is like this, right, when Rishi Kapoor is saying fuck you to a 16-year-old girl, or when you see those memes that call women stupid every opportunity they get, what can we do as feminists, as women, as people who believe that women ought not to be denigrated for being women? What are women around the internet doing? Okay, so this sort of brings me back to the video that I was introduced with. I didn't make it specifically as a response to all of this, obviously, but last year I made this video mostly as a joke. It's called BR Pondati. Pondati means wife in Tamil. And I used actual matrimonial ads actually. So I went online on the internet and looked up what are the criteria that they ask for women and what are the criteria that they ask for men in matrimonial ads. Women are always supposed to be beautiful, men are always supposed to be rich or have high education, but for women the standard is mostly beauty, right? So yeah, we can play my video now. So this is something that I made last year and it went viral.
I've waited so long for this, my boy's in need of a miss. You think you have what it takes to be his Pondati? Our family's wealthy and large, we own 2 Mercedes cars, kitchen that's state of the art for his Pondati. MBA, feet, girls go crazy. Shoe size 10 and 9, baby. Hey, talk to fair girl. We're out seeking, so here's our number. Just send us pictures. Ain't no time at all. You've been making babies, so here's our number. Just call me baby. Hey, talk to fair girl. Let's be family, so here's our number. Be our Pondati. Sub the temple girl. You're at your party, so here's our number. Just call me baby. In search of a homely girl who will rock my son's world. No Facebook, must not wear shorts. Be a good Pondati. Pondati can work part-time, but must be home before 5 to make sambar verde for our darling son. NBA, really handsome, joint family, I'm a jello. 6 feet, girls go crazy. Shoe size 10 and 9, baby. Hey, talk to fair girl. We're at seeking, so here's our number. Just send us pictures. Ain't no time at all. You've been making babies, so here's our number. Just call me baby. Hey, talk to fair girl. Let's be family, so here's our number. Be our Pondati. Suck the tumbles up. You're at your party, so here's our number. Just call me lady. Once you come into my house, you will have no life. Cause you be mine. You will have no life. Once you come into my house, you will have no life. Cause you be mine. You will have no life. Ain't no time at all. You've been making babies, so here's our number. Just call me maybe. Hey, talk to fair girl. Let's be family, so here's our number. Be our Pondati. Stop the temple up. You're at your party, so here's our number. Just call me baby. Once you come into my house, you will have no life. Cause you be mine. You will have no life. Once you come into my house, you will have no life. Cause you be mine. Just call me baby.
Thank you. So yeah, no, can we just go back to the previous slide? So yeah, that video got a lot of response. It was a joke. It was made overnight, like at 3 a.m. in the morning, because I was bored and I was at my friend's house. So, but it blew up. And why did it blow up? Because people resonated with it, right? It called out double standards in matrimony, and it critiqued all of these really sexist expectations that you have for brides, right? Which you don't have for grooms. So I think the reason that it blew up is because people resonated with something and it was different from all of the other, sexist or these boring, tired old stereotypes that keep playing, that like the ones that I showed you before of these stupid wife jokes and how your wife keeps nagging you and etc., and how you should just, like, women are just made for sex and food, like to cook you food and have sex with you. So I think this is an example of a feminist subculture, right? It's a like, you're fighting back and you're saying that I'm not going to take the stuff that you throw at me. I'm not going to take those sexist memes lying down. I'm going to talk about that. So I'm just going to run you through some other people who are making a difference, or who are just not doing it as a larger, they are actually doing it as a political statement, but these are other feminist subcultures that exist online, and like people like me and people like other people who identify as feminists are now subscribing to these people, and because it's very inspiring when you see other people reclaiming the internet. And so I think why it's powerful is because whose voices are these sexist jokes, right? They're men's voices, and women's voices aren't really given space on the internet or their concerns. Like for example, on my Twitter, I used to be very uncomfortable about talking about, say, my periods, but if I'm in a room with just women, I can talk about my periods like really openly. And then I thought, why am I so uncomfortable talking about periods? Because I feel like the internet is like this male-dominated space, and you're uncomfortable about talking about periods in front of men because it's weird or it's taboo or it's icky But then I thought, who cares? Who cares if men are grossed out by me talking about periods? I will talk to the women on my Twitter, right? And that was very liberating for me to just think that what I'm saying is for women. I'm talking to women and I'm a woman's voice, and other women will relate to me. And so now I talk about periods, I talk about whatever I want on the internet. And for me, that realization was very liberating, yeah. So this is an Instagram artist called Sara Naqvi. I really love her work. So she's an embroiderer. She's in NID, Ahmedabad, I think, and she embroiders and draws. So she makes art about periods. These are things that women have no problem talking within closed rooms by themselves, but you're hesitant to talk about it in public spaces. You're hesitant to talk about your sex life in public spaces, even though men brag about their sex life, but women don't talk about their sex lives because it's slutty to have a sex life, right, or whatever. So these are women who don't care, who stop caring. She makes like this really nice art, I think, about very normal processes that all women face. And so the other one is about how bras cage breasts, and bras are really constricting for women. And the other one is just different kinds of breasts. And breasts are always marketed as a object for male consumption. And what she did was like take it back, and she said, like, I will draw my breasts, and my breasts are not to be sexualized. My breasts are not to be objectified for you to get aroused by. My breasts and other women's breasts are just parts of our bodies, and I will draw them, and so what, right? So this is someone who does things like this, and this is something that happened in Bangalore this year, in New Year's 2017. A lot of women were molested, and what happened after the molestation, the mass molestation, was when people started criticizing it, men got really defensive and started tweeting saying, not all men. Not all men are harassers, not all men are molesters, which is fine, not all men are molesters, but a lot of men are. And that's not men's defensiveness is not what we need to be talking about right now. Women got harassed in public streets on New Year's Day, and that's what we need to focus. We don't need to focus about men's hurt feelings at being categorized as potentially a harasser. That's not the focus. The focus is that women's rights over public spaces are being curtailed because we are harassed, so the fact that not all men began trending was very annoying for people like my organization, Feminism in India. We were very annoyed that the conversation went to privileging men's emotions rather than talking about the actual issue, which is that women are at risk in public spaces, and that needs to be stopped. So we put out this tweet where we asked women to start sharing. This is like the Me Too campaign, but this happened much earlier. This is earlier this year, January this year, where we asked women to start sharing stories of their harassment, next slide, with Yes All Women. And a lot of women did. And finally, Yes All Women started trending, and because it was so powerful, just like the Me Too campaign, which now we all know, it's so powerful for women to go on the internet and talk about this stuff which is otherwise hushed, which is otherwise silenced, to go and say, yes, I was harassed, yes, this happened to me, and other women will relate to you, other women will offer support, and men will offer support to you. And so that was reclaiming the internet, right? You take back the tech, you take back the internet, and you say, this is my space too, and my experiences and my, what I go through deserves to be heard and deserves a space. So yeah, and actually, next slide. Before this, we also try to reclaim that hashtag. So not all men is supposed to be like, not all men are harassers, not all men are like that, not all men are sexist. But you know what, that doesn't matter, because when you say not all men, you're completely taking away, you're not thinking about the fact that you're taking away our experiences from us. You're taking away the fact that people did, we did experience this. So we reclaimed that hashtag and we said not all men can realize that it's not about them, right? It's about us, it's about our experiences, and we deserve that space right now to be heard. So yeah, next slide. This is another Facebook page called Spoiled Modern Indian Women, which made this this thing called real life superheroes, where they took these sexist stereotypes, but then turned it around to what women were actually doing with their real life careers. So, Diamond is a girl's best friend during her radio carbon dating research. Or people tell me that I'm not too sharp because as a singer I always stay in key. So I thought it was really funny because they took those stereotypes and they turned them on their head and they said, you know, women are beyond these stereotypes and these stereotypes are simply untrue. So yeah, that sort of brings me to the end of my talk, and I wanted to bring it back to you. So have you faced anything online where you put out an opinion and you're shut down, or when you're talking about something serious like a social or political issue, people choose to derail that by talking about how pretty your display picture is, you know, or how pretty your smile is, or what a nice tattoo you have, or when you're talking about it, your voice is considered irrelevant because you don't know what you're talking about because you're a woman. Has that happened to anyone here? Have you faced that? Yeah. So how do you resist? Like how do you combat that? Do you have any strategies? Pointing out how sexist that is, yeah. And I found it really helpful to have a network of women who will support you, who will come and say, that's not okay, you can't just minimize her voice like that, that's sexist. You know, having a community, and that's something else the internet does, and the internet has been so helpful in doing, is forming feminist solidarities with women. Like now, because of my work also, I'm connected to feminists across India, I'm connected to feminists outside India, and it's so liberating, it's so nice to be able to be connected to these women who are all, you know, fighting the patriarchy in their own ways, and who will support you when something like this happens. Like Feminism in India, my organization, we get trolled a lot by right-wing groups and stuff when we critique, say, Hindu festivals, and then it's non-stop. The trolling and the abuse is non-stop, and then it takes a toll on my emotional health because I manage my Twitter, and we had like 2 days of trolling like recently, and it's very depressing. So then we reach out, we tweet about it, we post screenshots of what, you know, the abuse that we're facing, and we have our entire our followers who come in and say, like, who you know, like, because as a single person managing this Twitter handle, it's impossible for me to respond to everyone. But then we have this community that forms, and the internet helps in building that community, and it's really helpful. So I would encourage you to like try that. Just reach out to your friends and ask them to come help you. And the most important thing is to not let it silence you, right? If you're told that your voice or your opinion should not be out there, don't let that get to you, because like I said, the internet is a public space, and the only way we get rid of harassment in public spaces is if we occupy it, and we refuse to let ourselves stay inside the house. We will go out in the streets at night. We will talk about sexism on the internet. So yeah, that's my talk. So thank you very much for listening to me. Sorry, did someone say something? Yeah.
Anyone with questions and answers? Any questions to
or comments or experiences that you faced? Yeah, please. Each have a mic.
Do you think there could be any shortcomings of the virtual presence of feminism?
Shortcomings of the virtual presence of feminism? No, I don't think so. Like, my entire work is about expanding the virtual presence of feminism.
Has anyone ever sent you a mail regarding that, giving their opinion? I know it's right that there could be no shortcomings, there should be no shortcomings.
I mean, I don't know if you mean like feminism in the warped way that it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
Well, that's then what we try to do in my workplace is we try to educate that feminism isn't misandry, it isn't about hating men, it isn't about female supremacy. So we try to educate what feminism is, and then we obviously believe that the ultimate goal is gender equality. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
So I had another question. Do you think there is the face of feminism in the rural areas is different from the face of feminism in urban areas? So So how can we approach them as well?
Of course, there is, and as a digital platform, we are very limited in the fact that we cannot reach, like our reach does not go to the rural areas. But that, I mean, for sure, but there are efforts that exist in India that are trying to, help women in rural areas or give them their voices, etc. So there are a lot of NGOs doing a lot of good work. So.
Your family doesn't.
We are very aware that we are a urban and we are a digital platform, so there are limitations to that because there is not a lot of digital penetration in India. But yeah, so we are aware that we are limited to urban spaces or spaces that have access to English and who can understand English. But we are trying to sort of talk to connect with other community radio platforms who talk about stuff in Hindi and maybe expand. But obviously that's an endeavor that we will keep trying to expand on. Yeah. Anyone else? And especially about especially about your experiences on the internet, if you want to talk about that.
I think when it comes to resisting, we always think of resisting men.
Yeah.
But I have come across, even in my family, a lot of women
For sure.
who will say bullshit partner language like Kasula. Bullshit like, bahu hai to betiyan to chhod ke chali jati, bahu hi ख्याल रखती. So how do you resist? I mean, because I feel like slapping women. Like I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
If you're going to say nonsense like this. So on the internet, have you ever dealt with
For
stuff
sure,
like,
of course.
How do you respond?
Because feminism, like I said, isn't about anti-men, it's anti-patriarchy, and patriarchy affects all of us. We are all conditioned by patriarchy. We are all patriarchal just by virtue of being born in this world, right? And women condition it as much as men. So it's called internalized misogyny, where women internalize those notions that make like, oh, we can't do this, ye to mardon kar sakte hain or whatever, right? So yeah, I guess as a feminist, my response would be to try and understand where they're coming from. Like, I get that these are the things that you've been drilled into you, which I think should be the response to anyone who's patriarchal, but these are conditioning, this is conditioning that you have been subject to, and I'm going to try to help, like, to make, like, tell you my side of it and why I think that that's bullshit, and you just see how it works. But yeah, we have, I mean, like I said, we get trolled by right-wing accounts a lot, and a lot of them are women, and they say the most misogynist things, and it makes me so sad when you're like, are you not on your own team? So yeah.
Thank you, Asmita. I think
Yeah.
we'll be
All right.
wrapping up the session.
Thank you so
Thanks a lot
much.
for your